reallocate rescue teams to Sector 7 immediately.
Right away, sir.
On January 26, 1700, one of the strongest earthquakes in recorded history, a magnitude 9.0, struck off the coast of the Pacific Northwest, generating a massive tsunami that raced across the ocean and devastated Japan's eastern shores without warning. Modern sediment analyses from the Cascadia Subduction Zone reveal that these full-margin ruptures occur roughly every 500 years, each event characterized by sudden coastal subsidence of up to 20 meters and widespread tsunami deposits buried in low-lying shoreline soils. In other words, as the Juan de Fuca plate steadily creeps beneath North America at just millimeters per year, tremendous strain builds up along the fault interface until it is finally released in a colossal slip, unleashing a magnitude 9.0 earthquake. By studying these buried layers of sand and silt, we know that the pressure accumulation before each rupture is immense, and that the next full-margin earthquake could strike with the same devastating force as the 1700 event. Centuries ago, Pacific Northwest tribes spoke of the sleeping earth serpent shaking its chains, and Nostradamus himself warned, "When earth moans beneath the wave, the western shore shall feel its grave." Now imagine it happens today. The ground violently roars beneath our feet, and 10 minutes after that initial shake, a 15-meter tsunami barrels toward Washington and Oregon, threatening 15 million lives. In the chaos that follows, one witness turns, eyes wide with terror, and gasps, "I saw that giant wall of water. There was nowhere to run." As the roaring wave closes in, every second counts. But we are not entirely helpless. Scientists, authorities, and communities across the region have spent years preparing for precisely this nightmare scenario. A 24/7 automatic tsunami warning network stands ready to issue alerts the moment the seismometers detect a full-margin rupture. Evacuation maps have been carefully drawn, marking designated safe zones on high ground and well inland. Schools, workplaces, and families practice drop, cover, hold on earthquake drills until they become second nature. And first responders coordinate multi-agency exercises to streamline search, rescue, and medical support. Finally, every household is encouraged to assemble a 72-hour survival kit, stocked with non-perishable food, clean water, and basic first aid supplies, so that when the unthinkable strikes, no one is left scrambling for essentials. In a moment when the ancient serpent awakes again, our preparation may be the difference between catastrophe and survival. Cascadia's 1,000-year slumber may end at any moment. This is nature's greatest challenge and our toughest test. Are you ready? Beneath some 3,000 square miles of Wyoming wilderness lies one of Earth's most formidable secrets, the Yellowstone supervolcano. Over the last 2.1 million years, this giant has erupted 3 times, each cataclysm reshaping vast swaths of the continent. Today, precision GPS stations and INSAR measurements tell us that the Yellowstone region is rising by roughly 8 millimeters every year. Clear evidence that magma is continuously recharging deep beneath our feet, between 5 and 15 kilometers down. Far below the surface, the Yellowstone magma chamber holds an astonishing 2,500 cubic kilometers of superheated molten rock. That hidden reservoir generates a heat flux of about 5 gigawatts, roughly the equivalent power output of more than 1,500 nuclear power plants combined. Put simply, Yellowstone's magma system ranks among the largest on the planet, harboring enough energy that, if it were ever unleashed, could dwarf the ferocity of Mount St. Helens in 1980 by thousands of times. Though such an eruption remains exceedingly rare, the ongoing uplift and immense heat beneath Yellowstone remind us that this sleeping giant still stirs beneath America's Great Plains. Ancient Vedic texts speak of Agni's awakening, a prophecy describing fire deities rising from the earth's belly, and Edgar Cayce warned, "The mountain shall belch fire, and a winter of ash shall blanket the plains." Were Yellowstone to erupt tomorrow, the immediate impact would be devastating. 100 miles of the western United States buried under 3 feet of ash, entire towns and agricultural regions rendered uninhabitable almost instantly. Within days, global temperatures would plunge by 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, thrusting the planet into a volcanic winter that could persist for years. Crops would fail on every continent, triggering widespread famine, while air travel would grind to a halt as ash particles choked jet engines and blanketed runways. Public health would collapse under toxic air quality, particles so fine they penetrate deep into human lungs, forcing people indoors and overwhelming hospitals with cases of respiratory distress. Recognizing the global stakes, scientists now propose a comprehensive suite of measures. High-resolution global ash dispersal modeling to guide precise evacuation planning. The strategic stockpiling of mask-grade respirators and construction of clean air shelters in urban centers. Targeted research into ash-resistant crop varieties capable of surviving reduced sunlight and acidic soils. And an unprecedented level of international coordination on climate mitigation, ensuring that once the skies clear, we can rebuild resilient food systems and protect vulnerable populations from cascading disasters. Yellowstone's sleeping giant has the power to rewrite Earth's climate and history. Its awakening would test our science and our resilience. Next, let's explore. Superstorm Category 6 approaches from the Atlantic.
We need to get those evacuation orders in place now.
In a warming world, Atlantic hurricanes are no longer just growing stronger. They're escalating to levels we've never seen before. Imagine a hypothetical Category 6 storm barreling toward the Eastern Seaboard, fueled by unprecedented ocean heat. As Dr. Carrie Emanuel explains, hurricanes function like heat engines, drawing their energy from the sea surface. With just a 1 degree Celsius rise in water temperature, a storm's maximum wind speed can increase by roughly 5%. This seemingly small change compounds rapidly. Observational records since 1980 reveal a 30% surge in rapid intensification events, a direct consequence of record-high ocean heat content. In practical terms, storms that once took days to reach peak strength can now turbocharge in a matter of hours, leaving coastal communities scrambling with far less warning. As ocean temperatures continue to climb, the risk of these hypercharged, virtually unstoppable hurricanes will only intensify, demanding a fundamental rethinking of emergency preparedness and coastal infrastructure. Baba Vanga once warned, "A wall of wind shall rise from the sea, swallowing entire cities." And Nostradamus prophesied, "The western coasts will quake, drowned beneath a boiling sky." If a hypothetical Category 6 storm were to make landfall, its impact would be catastrophic. An 8-meter storm surge inundating New York City streets, sustained winds exceeding 250 kilometers per hour, ripping roofs from skyscrapers, and the total collapse of power grids and communication networks. In such a scenario, millions would be stranded without shelter, potable water, or medical services, as hospitals and vital infrastructure succumb to flooding and debris. To confront this superstorm, we must invest immediately in coastal defenses engineered to withstand at least 10 meters of surge. Seawalls, levees, and floodgates robust enough to protect low-lying urban centers. Satellite-based evacuation alerts must be deployed to track the storm's rapid intensification in real time, ensuring communities receive timely warnings. Building codes along the Eastern Seaboard must be rigorously enforced and updated to storm-ready standards, mandating elevated foundations, impact-resistant materials, and secure roofing systems. Finally, every household should be equipped with pre-positioned 72-hour emergency kits containing non-perishable food, water purification supplies, first aid materials, and backup power sources. Only by combining these comprehensive measures can we hope to withstand a Category 6 tempest and minimize loss of life when the seas finally unleash their fury. A Category 6 hurricane was once science fiction. Now it looms on our horizon. Will we survive nature's fiercest tempest? Next, curse from the desert. Extreme drought and superdust storms await. The age of megadroughts is upon us. Once green regions now lie parched under relentless heat waves, and dust storms the size of small countries sweep across continents. Our data shows that by 2050, more than 40% of the world's population will face severe water shortages as precipitation declines and temperatures rise. In the American Southwest, we are witnessing the onset of a megadrought, the driest period in over 1,200 years, in which reduced rainfall combines with excessive evaporation to strip the land of moisture. Reservoirs shrink to ghostly shorelines, aquifers dwindle faster than they can recharge, and agricultural economies struggle to survive. Communities that once thrived on reliable water supplies now confront bleak futures. Fields crack under sun-baked soil, and families scramble for dwindling resources. without urgent action to curb emissions and manage water sustainably, this expanding crisis will threaten food security, public health, and ecological resilience around the globe. Nostradamus warned of the parched earth cracking under a merciless sun, and ancient Maya codices speak of the great dust serpent swallowing rivers and cities alike. In Phoenix, panic erupts as a 200-meter-high sand vortex barrels toward the city. Streets split open like fissured parchment. The salt riverbed goes bone dry overnight, and once lush trees stand as bleached skeletons beneath an ochre sky. Residents recount an 8-year drought has left household taps running dry. Sandstorms blind entire neighborhoods, and visibility drops to less than 10 meters. Water scarcity has become the norm. Families ration every last drop, while shifting dunes threaten to bury entire communities. To survive this desert's curse, we must deploy large-scale desalination plants powered entirely by wind and solar, transforming brackish groundwater into potable water with zero carbon emissions. Aggressive water use restrictions are critical. Enforce strict limits on residential irrigation and industrial consumption, and incentivize xeriscaping to reduce evaporation. Reforesting windbreak corridors with drought-tolerant native species will help trap blowing sand and stabilize parched soils. Simultaneously, we must advance cloud seeding and fog harvesting technologies to extract moisture from the arid air. Only by combining renewable power desalination, stringent conservation measures, strategic reforestation, and innovative atmospheric water capture can Phoenix and the broader Southwest hope to quell the great dust serpent and escape this 8-year nightmare. The desert's curse spares no one. From ancient prophecies to cutting-edge science, the warning is clear. Keep exploring. Part 5. Ozone's End.
Found a significant decrease over the Antarctic region, and it looks like it's widening again.
Let's increase sensor sensitivity on that area.
Over the past century, human emissions have not only warmed our planet, but also eroded the very shield that protects us from the sun's most damaging ultraviolet radiation. According to Dr. Drew Shindell, average stratospheric ozone levels have declined by roughly 4 to 5% worldwide, and seasonal holes over Antarctica can see losses as high as 70% each spring. If carbon dioxide concentrations continue to climb unchecked, as Dr. Susan Solomon explains, the natural processes that regenerate ozone will be unable to keep pace with its destruction. This imbalance will leave more UVB radiation penetrating Earth's surface, causing increased DNA damage in humans, elevated rates of skin cancer, and widespread disruption of fragile ecosystems. In effect, unchecked CO2 emissions threaten to undermine global efforts to heal the ozone layer, exacerbating the risks to public health, agriculture, and biodiversity. Only by rapidly reducing greenhouse gas outputs can we give the ozone layer a chance to recover and safeguard life on Earth. The Mayan Book of Chilambalam warns of a burning sky that will scorch the land when the Great Shield cracks, and Nostradamus prophesied The lion's roar from the heavens shall blister the earth. Today, scientists warn that by 2075, UVB radiation levels could triple in mid-latitude cities. This dramatic spike in ultraviolet exposure would drive skin cancer rates upward by 200%, collapse crop yields under intense radiation stress, and trigger massive die-offs of marine plankton, undermining the entire oceanic food chain. To avert the ozone's end and protect life on our planet, we must undertake a rapid global phase-out of all chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, and hydrochlorofluorocarbons, HCFCs, whose ozone-depleting properties exacerbate the problem. Simultaneously, we need a scaled effort to draw down atmospheric carbon dioxide via direct air capture technologies, slowing greenhouse warming that accelerates ozone destruction. In agriculture, expanding the use of UV-blocking films and shade structures will shield vulnerable crops from harmful radiation until the atmosphere heals. Finally, we must negotiate and ratify an international treaty specifically dedicated to safeguarding stratospheric chemistry, enforcing emission limits, funding recovery research, and ensuring transparent monitoring of ozone health. Only through these combined decisive measures can we prevent the ancient prophecies of a blistering Earth from becoming a reality. The ozone's final countdown is ticking. Only a united global effort can heal our planet's protective veil. This concludes our series. Now, the choice is ours. Will these disasters truly be upon us within the next 20 years? Or might they arrive even sooner than we imagine? Much of what we face has been driven by our own actions. So now is the time to unite in protecting our planet and to stay vigilant against the threats ahead. What steps have you taken to safeguard yourself and your loved ones when disaster strikes? Share your plans and preparations in the comments below. Together, we can learn, adapt, and build a more resilient future.